Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy, CEO Anthony, and my main man, Bryce Ward. Bryce, we have made it to another week. What is up, my man?
Just not much. Glad to be here as always. Just a normal work week. Family life is a little crazy right now, still adjusting to new things, but yeah, everything's good. How about you? How's the week?
Well, I mean, my Heat are on a six-game losing streak. We've lost three games in a row since trading Kyle Lowry, so who knows? Um, I think they'll right the ship. So, you happy now, Pat?
My Magic aren't in a much better spot right now. We're only a game behind you guys, and we've been losing a lot as well. So seems like
That's
we're on
cute.
a
That's
we're on
real
a
cute.
trajectory to be close to each other in the standings this season.
That's real cute. Tiebreakers matter. Okay, tiebreakers matter.
We play you
Um,
again, right? We play you next week. Did you know that? Because you,
That's
you
fine.
you only
No,
thought
I
we were
didn't.
playing three times. We
Yeah, I
got
mean that's
another
fine if you
game.
guys want
We
to
got
lose.
another game to tie you for the season record,
It's in
sir.
my, it's in Miami. It's in
That's
Miami.
fine. That's
So,
fine.
so
We
in the magical scenario, and I will say to our viewers, this was not scripted or rehearsed. Two are in this magical scenario, in the event that you guys were to win the game and then our head to head is 2-2 against each other, don't worry because our division record is still better than you guys and it will be better than you guys. So we would win that tiebreak. I think as of last week's recording, the Heat had only lost one divisional game. They've now lost two divisional games for the season, where the Magic are 6-4 in the division. So we got a
fair,
little wiggle room
fair.
there. Thank you. Statistics. Okay.
Yeah.
Statistics. So I'm not one to gloat or to brag or to
Yes, you are.
pat myself on the back, but I'm
You
about to run.
absolutely are.
I'm about to run a victory lap here. So I want everyone to be patient. I'm going to ask you one question and I'm going to go on my monologue, soliloquy, whatever you want to call it. Bryce, did I not predict the disaster that was coming towards the Milwaukee Bucks this season?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was just being, upset that you lost out on Dame. But yeah, I mean, you guys don't like Milwaukee. You love to talk about Milwaukee. So, but yes, you were right.
Wasn't I the only one who really wasn't sucking the dicks of the Milwaukee Bucks when they made the trade to get Damian Lillard?
I'm sure Pat Riley was right there with you.
Publicly, okay,
Oh, yeah,
publicly.
maybe, yeah,
Thank you,
maybe,
thank you.
maybe.
Didn't I say that the Bucks would be horrible defensively because of losing Drew Holiday and bringing in Damian Lillard?
That
And then
part
I
you
didn't.
specifically said yes.
And then I didn't trust them to win anything because they had a rookie coach who hasn't won anything.
hmm hmm hmm
So with
Yeah.
all of that said, and with the hours of content that we've given about the Milwaukee Bucks this year, how shocked were you a few days ago when you found out that they moved on from their head coach? When at that time, I think their record was like 31-13 or some shit.
That I'm not usually too shocked or surprised by what happens in the NBA because we've just been watching for a while. You know what I mean? But that did surprise me. I figured it was gonna happen, but probably after the season. That was my prediction.
Yeah, we had
But
made
I
jokes
did
about it,
say
but
though, I do think Doc Rivers was like pretty much one of the only right choices you had to make if you could get him, of course, just with his
yeah,
pedigree, the experience on the team, yada yada. It just matches, right? It's a Doc Rivers type situation for him to come in. There's not a lot of coaches available like Doc. It just seemed like a perfect fit. So yeah.
yeah, and the funny thing about that is Doc wasn't even one of the three finalists for the job in the off season. Like that's the most ridiculous part. And apparently Giannis handpicked and Adrian Griffin after being privy to interviews and stuff. This was the coach that he wanted. And the shit hit the fan fairly quick. There were off the court issues, there were locker room issues. Top assistant coach who was one of Dame's first head coaches for 9 years walked away from the franchise right when the season started.
Mhm.
All the writing was on the wall that this was going to be a disaster. Now, with that said, their record is what their record is, and they're second in the Eastern Conference right now. Do you think the Bucks made a panic move by firing Adrian Griffin halfway through his first season?
Well, this was a correct panic move, but it was a panic move. But I would say they've been making panic moves since trying to get Giannis to resign.
Mhm.
Resign, you know what I mean? Because they were scared before he did that. Um, they went all out to get Dame, without, it sounds like, reassurances that that's where he wanted to go or that he will stay there, right?
Right.
They they went out to get Dame for Giannis. Yes, it seems like a panic move for sure. I mean, like I said, there's not a lot of coaches, I think, maybe ever that have had this record that get fired mid-season, right? I mean, it's got to be an oddity. So, um, yeah, I would call a few of their past like 2 or 3 moves in a slight panic fashion, but I mean, it's Milwaukee, right? How often do they have opportunities to have a guy like Giannis on their team? And so many teams lose their stars now. I mean, eventually every team seems like they lose their quote unquote star until they bring in someone new. But that happens so often. I really think Milwaukee were going like to extreme lengths to do whatever they could to keep Giannis, even from letting him pick the coach. It seems like, which didn't work out this time, you know. But they also didn't have Dame there. Doc Rivers wasn't an option then, you know. This is the right move for, I would say, long a more mature team to have Doc in there in the playoffs. You know, it might also improve the situation Dame is looking at there. I mean, not by much. I mean, if Dame has his heart set on going to Miami or wherever else eventually, I'm sure he's going to get there. But just on paper, it looks like the smarter move, even if I would call it a panic move. I would still rather have Doc there than just about. I mean, there's only a few coaches I would have there over Doc if I had my pick right now of coaches in the NBA. So panic move, but probably the smart move.
So it brings up questions. I don't, even though we joked about this multiple times, I don't believe any coach should be fired halfway through their first season, i.e., Joe Mazzulla in Boston. It's just like, and we know he's an idiot, but that team is so great it covers up for it, right? And the
Mhm.
players like him, which is different in Milwaukee because the players didn't like Adrian Griffin. But even if you think
But
about,
you could argue that
um,
the players did cover up for him, and that anybody maybe could have had this record with Giannis and Dame.
correct, correct. But I think the thing that scared the Bucks the most was, which it shouldn't have scared them, was their defensive prowess, dropping from top four to essentially bottom four in the league. Um, yeah, you lost Drew Holiday and you brought in Dame, and no disrespect to Dame, as I always say, he can't spell defense, but your other defenders have gotten a step slower as well, um, which adds to their defensive drop off. So this is no shot at Giannis. We know Giannis is gonna play defense, but like I always say, Chris Middleton is another knee injury away from being retired. Brook
Mhm.
Lopez defensively is on life support. He still can get his block, but as far as lateral movement, that's gone. Um, so I think that the issue was bigger than Adrian Griffin. I believe whatever coach they had at the beginning of the season, they were still going to have defensive struggles. Now, what Doc can do, because the Bucks are scoring, they really are scoring. What Doc can do is institute a new principle as far as, okay, you guys are older, you guys have to come together and have more unity. Um, Let me ask you, how shocked were you? Did you see their pregame dance the day
I
after firing the guy? That was odd.
I didn't see it. I heard about it. You sent me the video about I think Stephen A. talking about it,
It was
and
odd.
yeah, I mean that's in poor taste. I mean, even if I don't know, even if you don't like somebody, you have to really not like them to celebrate a firing, right? Like I've not liked people, but I don't, necessarily wish them to lose their job. Like that's another level of really real distaste for someone. So yeah, it's a little bit in poor taste that I would say. But yeah, I didn't actually see it. I just you sent me the clip and I got the gist of it. So but yeah, I heard about it.
If I had never saw them do it before, it wouldn't have been a big deal because some teams do it. Usually it's younger teams, with pregame antics. But I've never seen this team do anything like that. I was like, wow, that was really telling. So, Doc Rivers. All right. The media has been having a field day with this. But most of the people like the move, but then you have others. Oh, he's blown the most 3-1 leads in the history of the NBA. It's only been 3 times. Okay. Doc Rivers would still be coaching the 76ers right now if they wasn't trying to bend over and get fucked by James Harden. Okay, let me say that. So him losing that Sixers job is not his fault. They were trying to appease James Harden, and James Harden still left anyway. With that said, this is the best move that they could have made. Doc has had great relationships with his veteran players on each team that he's coached. Um, Doc will get Dame and Giannis on the same page. What I mean by that is they're fine off the court. But I mean, on the court and playing off of each other, Doc will definitely do that. I can also make the argument that Joel Embiid is an MVP today because Doc was the one who put the ball in his hands and told Ben Simmons to sit the fuck down. Okay, I can make that argument. So
Hurt
I
hurt
like the move.
Ben's feelings.
That's fine. D- look
Ben,
look at
ben,
Joel.
Ben's still hurting to this day from those comments.
Yes, yes.
His back's
Look at
still
Joel
hurting to this
Embiid.
day.
The trajectory that Joel Embiid's career took when Doc got there and was like, "You're going to be the guy," and Ben Simmons, "You're going to be the one passing the ball." Just look at how Joel Embiid has taken off since, and he's still playing absolutely phenomenal. So it was the right move. So I do believe I like the move. Doc spent his college years in Milwaukee at Marquette, so there is a connection there. But I will ask you this: the little known fact that Doc was consulting Adrian Griffin, and now all of a sudden he's the head coach. Do you think that was a dirty Mac move where you're like the friend or the girlfriend that has a boyfriend and you're trying to position yourself to be that next guy in line?
Well, not in a business scenario. You have to be aware of your surroundings. Um, I mean, if Doc Rivers around, just sitting there, there's a lot of coaches in the league that I feel like should be looking over their shoulder, like, it's, you know, what, do I have my job security as much as I think I do? So,
Mhm.
I mean, in a personal scenario, I would say that's dirtier, of course, but in that situation, no, I don't think so.
Whatever it was,
Hmm.
it worked because they really didn't talk. They said they talked to other coaches, but they really didn't talk to any other coaches. Dr. Slid right over there.
How many guys are out there right now that don't have a head coaching job that you would legitimately look at for this team, though? A
You're
handful,
right.
maybe
You're
a
right.
couple.
Couple, a couple. He was really outside of the name that always comes up that no one will ever hire again. Outside of Jeff Van Gundy, who's not working right now, not even on TV. Um, it would be Doc Rivers, Jeff Van Gundy, and then Mark Jackson, which I never think he's gonna get a job, another head coaching job, which is stupid. But those are three guys that come to mind. Those are they're three defensive guys too, and of course, two of the three has played in the NBA. Doc made a joke about that in the press conference. He was like, "If they don't believe I played basketball, all they gotta do is look up in the rafters to see my college jersey retired up there. I did play." That was so funny to me. Um, but yeah, I like the move, and I think he can right the ship a little bit. Um, I do believe they need new blood there as far as player personnel, but it's going to be hard for them to pull that off. Um, so we'll see. They are what they are. So we'll see if he can light a fire under them in the right way. So moving right along, this week has been historic in the fact that we've had two 70-point games, one 62-point game. Um, we have this year currently four of the top 10 highest scoring teams in the history of the NBA. Do you like this scoring outburst or not?
Um, I like one or two a season, but when it's kind of jumbled up like this, and now we're starting to have this more and more, it seems like every season, or it seems like it happens a little more often.
Hmm.
Do you think we're heading towards the extreme side of the more recent type of basketball that teams play and the way the rules have went in the last decade or two? Do you think we're heading to like an extreme version of that where they're going to have to implement a different types of rule changes, such as like quit being so strict on the defender and go back not all the way to where it was in like the 90s, because I don't think they want that. I think they've had so much success with the way our offensive style of basketball and the pace is almost able to draw viewers in. It's more exciting. But do you think we're getting to an extreme version and they're going to have to pull back in some way? Because I don't think this is going to slow down with the talent of the league. I think we're going to see averages and players post higher and higher point totals and individual points. I don't think this is going to go away. I think it's going to become more and more prevalent. Do you think the NBA pulls back a little bit? We saw what I think tagged you on Twitter that Adam Silver
Hmm.
re-signed for like another decade or through the end of the decade or something like that. Do you see any changes because of this? Not that it's not cool to look at and it's exciting to see these high point games, but do you think we pull back a little bit?
Sorry, I had to take a moment to digest this. Being a kid that grew up in the '90s, watching 70 to 74 finals. Okay. Now I see teams dropping 70 points at halftime. I'm like, what is going on? This was the vision of David Stern towards the end of his tenure. Of course, they put some moves in to try to expedite scoring in the league. So this was a long time coming. I think now it's already to the point of the extreme to where it's gross. So for example, I'm gonna give the Lakers and Warriors a pass because that game went into double overtime.
Yeah.
Lakers won by 1 point. LeBron James was absolutely phenomenal. There you go, Patrick. Be happy. With that said, Milwaukee dropped 141 points in regulation. Utah dropped 134 points in regulation. This was just yesterday. And I give Sacramento a little love. They dropped 120 points in regulation. These numbers are absurd.
And
And
Indiana has the highest rated offense of all time.
Yes, they're trending towards that. Let's
Mhm.
see if they can keep it up for the season or not. Once Halliburton comes back.
Yeah, of course, with
Um,
Halliburton.
God, he's so phenomenal. But this is it takes some getting used to, and it does bring eyes to the product. So I was never opposed to some of the rules that was changed, but it does handicap defenses a little bit. It does. Um, for example, my team is kind of a throwback defensively. They're very good defensively. They're having hard times now stopping people and scoring because it's just ridiculous. As a defender, you can't even look at the guy without being called. If the guy trips on the court and you're nowhere near him, they call a foul on you. Like it is
Especially, there's about 3 to 4 guys in the league who it's vulgar the way they get away with foul calls. I'm not gonna name names, but there's three that
we
everybody who
know
watches the
we know
NBA
you're
can
gonna
come up with
say
just one.
Embiid. We know you're gonna say
Indeed,
Embiid.
Luca, Trey. Mm.
And that's almost the correct order too, believe it or not. But look, once upon a time, the triple double was the holy grail in the NBA. Once upon a time, right? And then Russell Westbrook took over and just shattered that holy grail to the point where it's not even a thing now. Even though LeBron James had a monstrous triple double last night, so I still value that high. I do. I don't care what anyone says, Bryce.
It
But
is exceptional.
um,
Westbrook, for himself and a few other guys, made it seem average by
right,
averaging a triple double.
right, and I fear the same thing is going to start happening with these scoring outputs to where when we see a guy drop 50, 60, or 70, we're just going to be like, okay, this is normal. I think we're going to get there to where we have this happen. It's already happened, what, like 5 to 6 times already this year. It may start happening 10 to 20 times a year now. And we're just going to look, I'm going to be completely
We're gonna
honest.
wait. We're gonna be looking for the 81 point game, and then we're gonna be looking for someone to pull off the 100. And that's what people
Yeah,
are gonna be looking for. The 70 is gonna be like, oh, whatever, 70.
I'll say this. 81 is sacred for a multitude of reasons. A lot of us saw that game. If anybody, if anybody else breaks 100 points, I'm retiring. I'm not going to watch the game anymore. Because at that point, it's just ridiculous. At that point, is absolutely ridiculous. Aliens of here. Hell has frozen over. I'm not watching the game anymore. I'm telling you, I won't do it.
It's gonna be
That's the
windy in
one
five
record.
years.
That's the one record that cannot, it should not be broken. Like it just should not be broken. I can't. I think 81's gonna be broken.
I
81's gonna
think
be
so.
broken.
I think after what
And
we saw the last week, yeah, I think so.
yeah. And I think I wanna say there's a 84 in there somewhere. Um I don't think 81 is second, but I do believe 81 is gonna be broken. But now once we get to that 100, nah, I'm done, bro. I'm done. What do you think about it?
I want to see the defenses not get handicapped so much. That's what I want because
Mhm.
I like a more aggressive style basketball. Uh, my Magic play that style of basketball. The Knicks seem to that's what they're doing this year. The Heat, like you said, that's their style almost every. That's pretty much what they do every year. So, um, but I also started becoming a fan, not as big a fan, but I started watching some in the '90s. Like it's nostalgic for me as well, but I just think we're seeing it go to the extreme, like I said earlier. So I just think they need to implement a few small rule changes, and I think I think we need a healthier balance of where it used to be and where it's at now. So I'd like to see them change a few things in the next coming years, but we'll see. The NBA keeps experiencing growth and having success. So in terms of a business, there's really not much of a reason to change. So I have my doubts, but if I had my way, that's what I would do. I would start making small rule changes, help defenses out some.
I have the numbers here, and there wasn't a 84-point game, so 81 is second. So Wilt is first with 100. Kobe's second with 81. Wilt is third, and we'll leave it at that. Wilt is third with 78. Then you have a four-way tie for 73. Wilt twice, David Thompson, who played for the Nuggets, and then Luca just a few days ago. 72 is Wilt. Then you have a four-way tie for 71. Elgin Baylor, David Robinson, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard. Damian did that just last year, him and Mitchell. So
Yeah.
we have three active players who have scored 71 points or more in the NBA. That's currently that is ridiculous.
That's in the last few seasons. They've had.
Yes, that is ridiculous. And if I want to go a little deeper, Devin Booker and Embiid hit 70. Of course, Embiid hit his 70 a couple of games ago. So that is five active players in the NBA that have scored at least 70 or more points. Now, Booker did do his in 2017, which was an anomaly back then, but it gave us a window into things to come. Um, but like you said, yeah, they need to adjust some things because this is absolutely ludicrous at this point. It is absolutely I don't like it. I don't like it. I can't fix it, but I don't like it, you know? Even
What do you
Giannis
think they should do? What do you think they should do? Bring back, was it before you used to be able to keep a hand on the guy,
yeah, you
basically?
handshake.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
They can bring that back. I don't mind handshaking. They can bring that back.
Hmm.
Um, like on my birthday this year, Giannis dropped 64. Like, this
Hmm.
is crazy. This is good. I have to stop because if not, I'm gonna keep going and finding names.
Yeah, it's
I will
not.
say
It gets real muddied after that, I'm sure.
I will say this list I'm looking at does not include playoff scoring because Charles isn't on here. Okay. So moving right along before we wrap this thing up, we saw the Heat get rid of Kyle Lowry. We're still waiting on a possible DeJounte Murray trade to the Los Angeles Lakers. Can you think of anyone else that you could see switching teams and making an impact?
Not a big impact. Not this season. It doesn't
Mhm.
seem like any big names are really on the chopping block. Um, you hear well, yeah. I mean, outside Murray, that's the last somewhat big name I would say that I've heard rumors of. Um, you've heard names like Brogdon, maybe. Portland's in an odd situation, but nothing major. No, no, no. I think I don't think we see out. I mean, that move already was made. It wasn't a big move, but Toronto, the moves that they made, those were probably the highest profile moves. Siakam moving on.
Mhm.
Um, that's probably the biggest move we'll see. I would imagine. I don't think we see any other big names move. Just some role players, maybe. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, we have the trade deadline in a couple of weeks, and I do believe, even though, like I said, the Heat just made a little bullshit ass trade to get Kyle Lowry out of there. I will say that I think there's another move that the Heat has in their back pocket, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I think there's something coming. I'll put it like that. we haven't lost 6 straight games in like 4 years, so this is a different territory for us.
Mhm, mhm.
And we still have a couple other contracts that we can move. So I think there's another one coming. The Kyle Lowry thing was just the start of it. Um,
It does seem
now
like things are a little stagnant down there
mhm,
because you've had your guys
mhm.
back from injury for a minute now, and it still seems like something is a little off.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make a move, and I think you guys might have a trick up its sleeve. So we'll see what happens with our teams, the Heat and the Magic, and then the Lakers, because apparently they're the front runners for Murray. So we'll see how that goes. Because
There's a few
Tyus's
teams
name.
that definitely would want to have Murray.
Mhm,
You guys are always in the mix for whatever it is you think you might need. The Lakers, LeBron's always looking for guys like Murray in terms of he wants playmakers. The Lakers are an interesting situation to me, but they're always kind of have the door open for moving guys in and out, especially with LeBron being there since he's been there.
right.
The Magic, I think, with the way we've been playing recently, is adding a little more stress to the situation. And like I mentioned earlier, Brogdon, a lot of fans really like the idea of maybe Tyus Jones. Um, we need some consistency at the point guard spot. And for the first one of the first times ever, I'm gonna go ahead and like it's not just Fultz's health, it's Cole Anthony's streakiness for
Mm,
me.
mm,
So is Suggs on the table? No. Yeah, is Anthony Black on the table? No. Fultz and Cole Anthony should be on the table. Now Cole, the start of the season, he was one of the guys people were talking about for even maybe six man of the year. But as injuries have happened and now we've gotten some guys back, but as the seasons went on, Cole's streakiness has turned him more into a cold streak more than a hot streak. And with
mhm,
his size, and when we drafted him before having our guys, I could just see him being more of the odd man out. And Fultz, we haven't re-signed him yet. Um, he does what the Magic want him to do, but in terms of health and just probably being one of the weakest links on the floor in terms of positional, I could see them trying to upgrade at point guard for sure. The problem with Tyus Jones is he's a little undersized, but he does everything else that the Magic feel like they need to have to maximize Franz and Paolo, which, I mean, let's be real, that's the most important thing going forward. It's having the right teammates around those guys. So I think the right point guard, whether he's a starter or coming off the bench, or they do a two move trade, something like that, where they get rid of Cole and Fultz. Like I don't know, but I definitely think the way they've been playing recently, the way these games have been going, I definitely think maybe not like a flashy big move to be made, but I definitely could see them trying to bring in a more consistent three and deep type point guard, or a guy who can come in and make shots and still play defense the way that the team wants them to play defense, because that's important for the culture of the team. So we'll see, but I mean it's the Magic, so there might be nothing done until the off season. We'll see, but they usually, since this new management has gotten there, they've at least made small trades pretty much every trade deadline. So I won't be surprised, but if it's anybody, I won't be surprised if it's Fultz and Cole or one or the other, or if they're involved in some package. That won't surprise me.
mhm. Um, couple of things. The Wizards moved on from their head coach, Wes Unseld Jr. I forgot to mention that. And there is a name like Jones is linked to you guys. there is a name that's still linked to Miami that's been linked for years, and I don't know. I think we can make the money work, but it's Kyle Kuzma still being talked about, maybe getting traded to the Heat, and I think that would give us the shot in the arm that we need offensively because that's where we're struggling at right now.
Would you rather have
Um,
Kuzma over Murray if you had to go after one of those two targets?
I don't. I think Murray's off the books for us right now. So with that said, Kuzma would be my second best get right now. 'Cause I think with there's no reason to bring in Rozier and Murray. So it's like okay, so Murray we got a guard who has been playing decent. And what I mean by that is he will attack the rim where Lowry pretty much stopped doing that. Um, I mean, he was old, so I get that. But I think if we could slide Kuzma into there next to Bam, that might be something because we are undersized right now. So I think that'd be something nice to see those two guys playing off of each other. So yeah,
Oh,
be high on that.
I forgot about one of the other guys. Do you think Chicago is going to make a move on Levine?
I mean, we've been talking about them trade Levine for what 2 years now, and they haven't done it yet. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on in Chicago, and they actually haven't been playing like too bad lately. So it's kind of like with Cleveland. There, Mitchell's like, I'm not going to resign here. Then all of a sudden they start winning, so now we don't hear Donovan Mitchell's name anymore as far as trades. Okay, um, I don't think Levine wants to be there. I think he's just going through the motions right now, which most players do. But I don't think he's going to quote unquote force himself out because he's still making a lot of money, and when he plays, he's playing decently. But you can just tell
Yeah.
that sometimes you get used to a losing culture, and it's just like you just go through the motions, and that's what it looks like he's been doing when he plays. But I don't think there's a market out there for Levine right now, right or wrong. I just don't think there's a market out there for him. I don't think teams look at him and say, "Hey, he's going to lead us to a championship." Nah, they don't look at him like that as of yet. So I don't know what Chicago's going to do. They've been an afterthought for the majority of this year, but like I said, they have won some games. So they're actually right now 3 games behind you guys. You guys are half a game behind us, so they're in the play-in.
Mhm.
Um, so who knows? Who knows? So on that note, we're gonna wrap it up for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. Tell us that you love us. Tell us that you hate us. We respond to all comments. Everyone stay safe, and we are out.